Hello everyone, I am William Parker and it's been a very long time since I've done a video for YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about teaching in music stores and why I don't do that and haven't done that in a while. So in case you don't know me, again, my name is William Parker. I've been teaching music lessons since 2011. It's 2023 at the recording of this video, so that means I've been teaching for like 12 years. It's a very long time. I also, in the past year, just started teaching in public school as a music teacher, and will be going, hopefully, going this fall to start my master's to get a master's in music ed to actually be a certified teacher. So I've been teaching for a very long time. And in that time period, I've taught in different places. I've taught online, I've taught in person, and I've taught at music stores. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why I have chosen to not work in music stores and how that has gone in the past. So to begin, what do I mean by teaching in a music store? Well, a lot of the times when you go to a local music store, it's not usually a big branch, but a local music store, they tend to offer lessons. That's something that they do to kind of bring in customers. It helps the music community because it can bring in musicians and music tutors like myself or aspiring music teachers to come and teach music education in a different location. It's also really good for the music store because they can make money off of whatever type of books and type of things that the music teachers would be recommending to the students. Now here's where I've run into issues, and I've talked to other teachers and they haven't had the same issues, so I know it's different for each person. I have been a voice teacher at music stores. Voice is kind of interesting. When you're a voice teacher, you get all kinds of different students. You get students who are coming in who've never sung anything before, but they really like to sing and they want to try. You get students who think that they are the next Beyonce or they are the next Ariana Grande, and they're going to tell you how well they sing. You also get students who know their voice very well and they want help expanding and getting ready for the next step. And then you always have some of those students who just on a whim took the class and they're just having fun, but it's not really their thing, so it's usually a one and done kind of class. So again, I've tried to work at 2 different music stores as a voice teacher in the past, and I have a few thoughts on maybe why that didn't work out for someone like me, and also why what I do now as far as private lessons works better. So, to begin, as I said, it was just 2 local stores that I worked at. One was kind of smaller. It definitely was more instrument driven because I remember they had a very good instrument rental program at this first store. They had lots of drum sets, lots of guitars, lots of sheet music. They're still in business. They sell things like conductor's batons. You can get every kind of cleaning thing you need for every instrument. So it's actually a fairly decent equipment shop as far as I'm concerned, a materials shop if you're a musician. So fun place to go. I'm not necessarily going to leave a name because I'm not sure how this will be taken. But if you ask, I will tell you. I'll leave it at that. I am in Connecticut, so this is specifically Connecticut. All right. So what would happen would be the first thing I disliked is the amount of money I would make versus the amount of money they would take. Yeah. So I think, if I remember correctly, at this particular store, they would charge $20 per lesson, but they would take about $6 just for using their rooms. Which, again, as I explained before, with actually having a voice teacher there, you're going to bring in more clientele. You're going to bring in more people who want lessons. And if I say, hey, you're doing great and you have a good classical voice, go get this book, they're going to purchase that book at that place. Or if I say, oh, you're into rock and roll, there are these different rock and roll books, they're going to get that. If I tell them about a specific throat spray, the store carried the throat spray. So the fact that it was such a large amount, it was a huge amount that they were taking out. If you think about it percentage wise, it was a little less than stellar. Let's just put it that way. So the amount of money you actually make versus what they're asking for isn't that great. Second of all, you don't get to choose what you actually charge. So I am somebody who has a bachelor's degree in vocal performance right now. So I should be able to choose more than somebody, or choose to charge more, excuse me, than somebody who maybe has just been singing their whole life and they enjoy singing and they're good at it, or somebody who's just been in a band but they don't actually have the education behind it to explain why they get the sound they get. So that was a little frustrating too. So not being able to set my price, not getting enough of the asking price. Number three, the advertising really didn't go through me. It's not like I would tell people, come meet me at this place and sign up. I could if I wanted to, and I did tell some people, but specifically because I was working with a music store, right? The music store would do most of the advertising. They would decide which students they would take on and which ones they wouldn't take on. So, not necessarily being able to spread the word or have control in any way, shape, or form of that wasn't that appealing for me either. And also the hours, at both the stores I worked at, really, you had a situation where you had a certain number of rooms, right? And these certain number of rooms could only be filled by one teacher at a time. Makes sense. You can't teach a voice lesson and a piano lesson in the same room. That would cause some problems. So, you'd have limited time as to which days you could go, and it wasn't very flexible. So I'm not making the money I want to make. I don't get any control over how much I'm asking. The advertising isn't really in my court. Sorry, there's a bird outside and it caught my attention. I apologize. And then, you had limited flexibility in that you could choose what days you didn't want to be there, but it wasn't very good as far as flexibility. So in those situations, it just wasn't profitable for me, or working well enough for me to continue working with the music store. Second music store was the same. They charged a little bit more per student, but again, it was a $6 take. Even though, again, I'm bringing in students, they're buying things at the store. That wasn't taken into consideration. And then this particular store had a hard time attracting singing students. It was very weird. I would get students for like 1 or 2 sessions, or they would purchase like maybe 2 days of the month and then disappear. I'm not really sure why, because I don't have that retention issue anywhere else. It was just at that store. So, beats me. But again, we just didn't attract very many singing students. They had a lot of piano students and a lot of guitar students. That tends to be what I see a lot at music stores also, is everyone's very interested in guitar and very interested in piano. Now I do teach piano lessons, but they hired me specifically for voice. It just didn't work for me. Again, not enough money. I couldn't control how much we were asking. I didn't have much control over the advertisements because it was more of a mom and pop kind of thing. And again, the flexibility in the scheduling was only sort of there. It was the specific day of the week that I was able to come in because, again, limited availability of the rooms. So, all that to be said, it just didn't work. Now, if I was a student, or a teacher, that had students lined up where I was working from the time the store opened to the time the store closed, that may be different. However, I'm still taking into account how much money you would be making per lesson versus how much I'm making per lesson, and I'm still not sure if that would work for me. So, what is it that I do now, and how does that change? Well, I do teach music lessons online and in person. I work with a company online that does some of the advertising and processing, and they only take 10% of my asking price. This means that when I ask for, let's say, going back to the $20 situation, I asked for 20, they would only take $2, so I would get 18. That's vastly different than having to pay $6 per lesson, not per pay period, per lesson, for the actual room. That was really not okay. So what can I do now? Now, because I'm working for myself as far as lessons are concerned, I get to set my own prices. I get to set my prices based on the standard price of what I'm seeing in the state that I live in, plus my education. So that means I'm actually asking a significant amount more because I do have the education. I have that control. So that's the first reason why I do in person and online. I just can ask for a fair price instead of having to be stuck with whatever music store would ask. Secondly, I get a higher take. If it's a private student and I work directly with them, they met me either online, they heard from a friend, I get everything that I ask for. If I work with these online companies, I get 90% of what I ask for. So that means if I want to do $30, because in my state, 30 for 30 minutes is actually normal, I would get 27 of those bucks. That's a big difference than charging $20 and only getting about 14 of those bucks. You do the math, it's pretty obvious, right? So there's that. Um, I also have a lot more control over the actual advertisements of my business. I can put it on my social media accounts. I can put it on my YouTube account. I can put it on Craigslist. I could put it wherever I would like and use it however I would like because it belongs to me as opposed to belonging to a music store. I do remember there was one music store I forgot to mention that I was going to work for. I attempted one time. I put the information of that store up with the actual phone number to sign up for lessons because it went like 2 months and this guy didn't get any voice students. And he actually called me and started to curse me out and tell me how horrible I was to share his personal information when it was the storefront information that you could just Google. You would just Google the store. That was the phone number. See, it's not worth it. It's not worth working with other people when you work as a voice teacher. So there's that. So the last thing, again, is the flexibility is amazing. So right now it's the summertime. Obviously, because it's summer, I'm not in a classroom because there's no schools open. um, Contrary to popular belief, teachers don't necessarily get paid during the summer. I know some people think that teachers get paid all year round. That's not true. Right now, I'm considered a long-term substitute. That means that I have the ability to teach as a music teacher all year round, but I'm not certified yet. So I don't get as high a pay and I don't get any benefits. Therefore, I don't get any pay in the summer because there's nothing happening in the summer. Once I do become certified, teachers can get paid less throughout the year, but constantly throughout the summer too. So they kind of like split the money up, so you still get paid in the summer, but it's not like you're earning it. It's the leftover from before. So there's that. So right now, all that to be said, I need to rely a little bit more on my lessons and group lessons. You did hear me right, group lessons. Thanks to online, I can now teach group lessons. So I can teach something basic like let's read staffs. Let's learn about the treble clef and the bass clef. I can have a big group lesson and only charge people $5 to attend. But if I have 5 people who paid $5 to attend, I just made $25, right? So thanks to online and things like that, I can actually expand what I offer. And I can expand my flexibility, which was one of the other points I made about not wanting to work in a music shop. I can work when I'm able to work. I can work the hours I want to work. So I happen to be a person who is a Christian. So I don't want to work at all on Sunday because I view that as a kind of a more holy day. We call it the Sabbath, but it's a day I want to spend with family. It's a day I want to relax. I don't want to do work on a Sunday. So I just don't schedule people for Sunday because guess what? I'm in charge of my schedule, right? I have the flexibility to say yes or no. So that's the big appeal. So by doing everything in person and online, I can get more of what I'm asking for. I can choose what I'm asking for, right? I have the flexibility to do it, and I have the capability to advertise everything. So that's really kind of how I've been able to maintain doing music lessons through everything. Even during the school year, I do reduce my hours, but I still offer music lessons, and it has worked out so much better than going to a music store. Now, for those of you who are watching it who are saying, geez, I'm looking for music lessons, I'm not in Connecticut, and I don't want to do online, so sorry, Mr. Parker over there, I don't want to work with you because I want somebody local. That's perfectly fine. I'm not saying don't go to music stores. I am saying be nice to your teachers at music stores, because again, these tutors aren't necessarily getting what they're asking for. They may not be in control of what they're asking for. So if you do start lessons at a music store, don't just leave. At least complete the full contract. Most music stores have you do a month of lessons. That's just kind of how they do it. Be consistent with it. And if you really, really, really want to give someone what they're worth, it's better to actually just be their private student, not through a music shop, not through, a third party organization, but directly working with them. All right, well, that's been my experience with working at a music shop. And yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you have a great week. Bye, everyone.